Hello YouTube, it's Flakes here again, and this is my Resident Evil Village Retrospective. Now, if you've been here for, well, the past 4 months I've been a YouTuber, you'll know that I really like Resident Evil, and actually in my first video, I was talking about my playthrough of Resident Evil Village. Now, this video has a very special place in my heart because of how much I care about this game and what it signifies for me. And I'll try to keep this intro as short and as sweet as possible. So let's just hop right into it. If you're not familiar with my retrospectives, I go over gameplay, story, and other miscellaneous parts of the game. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, please check out this video, stay along, and also check out the retrospective playlist I have on my channel. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I love you all, and, well, I already said enjoy the video, didn't I? So in my last video, you guys saw me talk about the RE engine, and I didn't really go into depth about what that meant in that video because I didn't think it mattered much. But when trying to interpret the creation and development of Resident Evil Village, you must first understand the game that came before it, which was Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Now, when talking about Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, it's really important that you realize the state that the game was in at the point, because RE6 was absolute dookie, and they needed to return back to the horror roots, so they created this thing called RE Engine, which in turn aided in basically them using whatever assets they wanted to in order to make the game as realistic and as scary as possible, which at least in my opinion worked perfectly fine, because I still think that's the scariest game to date besides Resident Evil 2. But then again, me saying it's scary doesn't really matter much because, well,
it's the pops on that light and one right there. Yeah. Alright.
Moving on to Resident Evil Village, the game's development was very troubled, and a lot of the developers talked about self-isolation due to COVID-19, and also they had a ransomware attack, and all this information is coming from the Resident Evil developers themselves. While making Resident Evil Village, a lot of the developers talked about trying to make the perfect gothic horror experience, creating like set pieces such as the House of Dimitrescu, and then House Benevento, and also Lord Moreau, or how you say his name, while also mixing all that in with high action set pieces such as the Heisenberg fight, and also the Moreau boss fight. And all of these high octane battles also came with a cost in development. The authors had to adjust to different forms of gameplay, leading to, well, the clash of gameplay that we saw inside of Resident Evil Village. But all development issues aside, I think it's time that we get to the story, the real meat of the game, if you will. Resident Evil Village begins with you being in a house with both Ethan and Mia Winters with their new baby called Rose, and, well, she kind of gets lit up. Like, holy shit. After that, we see scumbag Chris, and he doesn't explain why he killed Mia at all. It'll make sense later on in the story, but for right now, as far as we know, he basically just killed their wife. And of course, Cookman Ethan does nothing about it. We then get captured, put in a van which flips over for some reason unbeknownst to us, which I'm pretty sure it's the Lycans, but they never say or never further go into detail about why, so I guess it doesn't really matter. After that, we traverse through the woods, and then we see a skyline of the Castle Dimitrescu and the rest of the village, which has been overtaken by these things called Lycans. We go into his house and meet this one guy who has a shotgun, and then he arms us with a pistol. Right after, he gets eaten like a fruit gushers pack, and then we run into our first Lycan encounter. We kill that Lycan, run into some more Lycans, run into some more Lycans, survive the Lycans, and then we're off to House Dimitrescu. Well, actually, beforehand, we get captured by Heisenberg, and then we get caught in House Dimitrescu. After we enter, we get captured, and then we get out and murk her 3 daughters named Bella, Cassandra, and Daniela. Then we fight her, we get chased down by her, we get our arm cut off by her, and then we fight her in like a monster hunter form, or whatever you want to call it. She kind of looks like a shiny Charizard if it was covered in baby powder and molded rat feces, or whatever the fuck she's made out of. After that, we exit the house with the flask, and then we meet up with the bootleg merchant from RE4, and apparently he knows him too. I don't know the lore behind that. And then he explains to us that our daughter got chopped up into pieces like a wiener dog, and now we have to go save her from the four lords who all have her flask. At this point, it's up to you, like where you want to go exactly, but I chose to go in the order of Husband of Veto, Moreau, and then I think Heisenberg has to be last. So that's the way I'll define the story. You walk into the woods, get hallucinated, and then you end up in Husband of Veto, where you do puzzles, walk through a house, do some more weird puzzles with like a sex doll or whatever that is, and then you run into a large fetus that you have to evade. You get on an elevator, come up, and you find the doll of the house, which you have to consistently keep chasing down until you stab it and you get the flask for Rose. And that's the end of Husband of Veto. After that, you go into this weird mine and you meet up with Lord Moreau, who is a like swamp demon outcast monster or whatever he is. You then basically traverse your way through this place until he turns into this like lake logod thing from Resident Evil 4, and then you're forced to kill him. After you kill him, you collect the final flask, and then you meet up with Heisenberg after multiple signs telling you to come. After you meet up with Heisenberg, he makes the offer for you to join him, and you don't have a choice but to deny. After you deny, you get into this huge anime boss battle with him. You win after Chris gives you this like mecha suit from Gundam, and then after you do that, you pretty much just meet up with Sephiroth, but lady version. And once you kill her, you save your daughter Rose, and then it's an end credit scene, and then there's also a DLC, but I'm not here to talk about that right now, so that holds no weight. But yeah, that's basically the expedited summary of Resident Evil Village. Moving on to gameplay, I don't believe that there's much to really discuss. It's just reuse assets and reuse engine mechanics from RE7, but with more variety to the gunplay. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I mean, RE7's combat was decent enough on its own. But I will say that compared to RE4's gunplay and overall gameplay, as well as mobility, it definitely feels clunky. However, I don't believe that's saying much. I mean, this is only the second first-person game that they've had in the entire RE franchise. They were still trying to work out the nicks and the knacks and stuff like that, so again, I won't hold it against them. And also on top of that, RE4, as I've stated in the videos in past, has the best gameplay, at least in my opinion, in terms of both gunplay and mobility. So it's kind of a high bar to reach. Wow, I just stuttered crazy there. It's kind of a high bar to reach. But yeah, I mean, the gameplay for the most part holds up. The exploration is great. The variety in weaponry is also still amazing. There's a bunch of new weapons to customize and add. And being dedicated and loyal to one weapon over time turns into an overpowered beast. And at the end, you can also upgrade Chris's weapons. Well, actually, that's a lie. You can't upgrade them, but they're available for use, and they kind of make the game unfun, which is an unpleasant experience, especially regarding past Resident Evils, where add-on content after the game just expanded the game's viewpoint and perspective. Now it just kind of feels like a cheap way of replayability, which you can't really play a game if you aren't getting an authentic challenge out of it or getting more content involved. But yeah, for the most part, I'd say that gameplay holds up, and it is still pretty solid, especially the Rose Winters DLC expansion. I mean, of course it's clunky and it could use some work, but again, this was the second first-person shooter game, and they were still trying to get the flaws down. So overall, I give it like a 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. Alright, in conclusion, I feel like the expedited summary I can give this game is just overall good. It's a good Capcom release title. The gameplay is good. The story is good. Everything about it is good. There's nothing that uniquely stands out about it, but I don't think it was supposed to. I don't think that was the vision that Capcom had in making this title. The purpose of RE7 was supposed to be a return to form to survival horror, and they did that with RE7. So RE8 was just fleshing out Ethan Winter's story, and they did exactly that. They gave him a wealthy and fine conclusion. So overall, I think this game did what it needed to be done and completed its service. It ran its route, and we got RE4 remake. And that game wouldn't be the same without RE8 because they reused majority of the assets and the UI interface. So, if you ask me, this game was integral to making the best, one of, if not the best remakes in my opinion, of all time. The game also holds a very, very dear place in my heart. If I never played RE8, there would never be an I'm Plays YouTube channel to begin with. And, I mean, come on. Who else has the greatest channel in YouTube history? I need you guys to say it. Please say it. Say it! All jokes aside, you can see on this channel, it has had a huge impact on both me and Capcom's current state of play. And with RE9 remotely around the corner, based off the leaks January 2025, I can't wait to see how this franchise continues. But I think my time is up here. This part of recording is actually after I said that there was another video coming out. Pre-recording, I didn't know that I would release a video. For everyone that's sticking around towards the end of the video, I just wanted to say thank you. The support has been massive, and I've been getting a lot of community feedback recently about what I should do next. So I thank you guys, and I will ask another comment section question. Underneath the comments, I want you to tell me your favorite horror game franchise experience, and if you want to, please tell me why. Otherwise, I hope you had a great time viewing this video. I love you all, and God bless.